Welcome in, everybody. I've got to tell you before my intro that it is a ceaseless joy for me to see both speakers and students like grooving the entire countdown music. I just love it. My name is Jesse. I'm your virtual adventure guide here at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. And if you're joining us for the first time, I know we've got some new audience members today. We are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world through over 40 live, free, monthly interactive broadcasts. Now, this month is our epic, incredible month, only celebrating amazing women in STEM. So it's always classically been our biggest month. We do the most programs, we get the biggest audiences, and so a huge thank you to you as we get to showcase and celebrate such amazing explorers and scientists from around the globe. Particularly this week, we are diving in really heavy duty with whales. We had a northern right whale program earlier today. We've got some beluga exploration later, but I've been particularly excited about this program for some time as we are joined live in Croatia by Sara Niksic, a.k.a. Inner Child, who's going to highlight some of her amazing work to bring her work studying and understanding whales and their songs into a way that really engages and inspires, and that is by blending it with art. So we're going to learn about her incredible work right now. I'm going to turn it over to her to blow your minds, and I cannot wait for your questions at the end. Sara, thank you so much for joining us. You're in the broadcast now. Welcome to Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants.
Hello. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so excited. I know you've got a lot to share with us today, so I brought up your presentation. You are good to go, and let's dive in, literally and figuratively.
Cool. Right. Well, I hope you're all ready to dive with me below the waves. My name is Sara, and I'm also known as Inner Child. That is the name of my art project. And today I want to tell you a story about how I went to study whales and their songs and how I made music with them. This beautiful drawing here was a gift by my sister, and she made it for me as a present when I graduated from university. I went to study marine biology, and for my final project, I was studying the songs of humpback whales. So today you're going to learn a bit about my work. Here you can see me when I was about your age. I was lucky to grow up next to the sea, and I loved going swimming in the sea and diving below the waves. And I was always fascinated by this underwater world and all its crazy looking creatures. I also went to music school and I played piano. Growing up, I continued following these passions. And this up here you can see is a quote from my favorite book of all times. It's called Little Prince. All grown-ups were once children, but only few of them remember it. Well, I wish all of you remember what you dream of right now and that you keep following your dreams, no matter how crazy they might seem. Because if you follow your dreams and believe in yourselves, you can really achieve anything. So, growing up, I continued doing these things I liked when I was a kid. So I continued playing music. I learned how to produce and compose my own music. I released music albums and I played music as a DJ on music festivals. I also continued exploring the ocean. Here are some photos of me doing research all over the world. I did lots of scuba diving, and I also did lots of research on dolphins and whales. And I was always curious about the sounds they make and the ways they communicate with each other. So on the bottom left photo, you can see me holding a hydrophone, which is an underwater microphone, which we use to listen to sounds underwater and to record sounds that are interesting to us, like songs of whales. These are some of the species I studied. There are Hector's dolphins, bottlenose dolphins, the world's biggest animal, which is a blue whale. It's on the bottom right of the screen, and sperm whales, and my favorite animals, which are humpback whales, here in the middle. All these guys belong to a big group of animals called whales. Whales live in the ocean, but they're mammals like us, which means that they breathe air. So they had to develop all these adaptations to allow them to survive in the ocean. For example, they can hold their breaths for a very long time, for an hour or even 2 hours, and they can dive very deep, 2,000 meters, even more. On this photo, you can see two big groups of whales. On the right side, facing to the left, are toothed whales or odontocetes. These guys have teeth in their mouths, same like us, and they use teeth to catch food and to eat. On the left, facing to the right, are the biggest whales, which are called baleen whales or mysticetes. These guys don't have teeth in their mouth. Instead, they have these baleen plates, which they use for filtering. That's how they feed. So maybe I can explain it like this. So if you cook pasta, for example, you cook it in water and then you strain it. You keep the pasta and you let the water out. This is what these guys do as well. So they take a big gulp of water, they squeeze it through these baleen plates, the water comes out and the little prey stays in. And here, somewhere in the middle, you can see a tiny human. This is how small we are compared to these animals. Down there in the ocean, it is very dark because light doesn't travel very far. But sound travels 4.5 times faster than through air. So the sound travels very, very far. And these animals, they use sound for everything. They use their ears because they live in this world of sound. They use it for navigating, so for finding their way around, for finding prey, for finding each other, and for communicating with each other. Here I got some examples of the sounds these animals make. So you can listen and see what you think. So first, I have a recording of a dolphin echolocating. That echolocation is how they navigate. It's like a sonar. So they emit these loud clicks into the environment. And when these clicks bounce, when they hit an object, let's say a rock or a fish, they will bounce and come back to them. And then they listen to these echoes. And that's how they can judge, is it close to them or far away? Dolphin, for example, he can find a little object size of a golf ball almost a football field away. That's how sensitive their ears are. They're way more developed than our ears. So here is an echolocation of a dolphin. And I have another example of a
Cool.
Sperm whales also use these clicks for communication, and they arrange them in these specific rhythmical patterns. So every group of sperm whales has their own unique pattern, and they are called codas. This is an example of one coda. Other species of whales and dolphins use other sounds for communication. Dolphins, for example, have signature whistles. So us humans, we each have our own name. And dolphins, they have a whistle that is unique to them, and other dolphins know who is who by these whistles. Here is an example of a signature whistle. And orcas, for example, they have vocal clans. So every group of orcas has their own different sounds they produce, and different groups have different sounds. It's something like dialects we use, depending which parts of the world we belong to. And finally, my favorite animals are humpback whales because they sing the most amazing songs. These songs can last for 20 minutes, even half an hour. And sometimes they would repeat these songs, they would sing them over and over the whole day or even longer. These guys really love to sing. So here is a recording of a humpback whale song, and you can follow it on the screen. This is a spectrogram, which is how this sound looks like. first scientist that ever discovered these songs of whales, this is what he said about them. That's what whales do. They give the ocean its voice, and the voice they give it is ethereal and unearthly. To him, these songs sounded like coming from outer space. And indeed, these songs ended up in space. When NASA launched Voyager spacecrafts, on board of these spacecrafts, they included these golden records. On this record, there were different greetings in a variety of human languages, but there were also some sounds of nature, including the songs of humpback whales. So they are out there in space as well. So why are these songs so fascinating? For many different reasons. And I made a little video with my friends, so you can hear some of these sounds and some of the music I made and learn a bit more about my research. So humpback whale songs are among the most striking examples of animal culture. Not many people know that animals also have culture, but they really do. They learn from each other. They share knowledge. They share the way to communicate with each other, how to find food, everything that's important. And right, so there are so many amazing things about these songs. For example, the structure you just saw in the video, they have themes and phrases and units. And then thousands of whales that live in one group, they will know this song. They will know exact song. And other whales that live in other parts of the world, they would sing a different song. But these songs can change all the time. But all of these whales will keep up with the change. And we don't know how do they do it. And sometimes one group of whales living in one part of the world would ditch their song and take a completely different song from another population. Again, we have no idea why does this happen. So learning about these animals, I just thought I want to share it with the world, because I was working at universities, but only some people that were studying these whales knew all these fascinating things about them. So I wanted to share it with everyone in the world. So that's how I came with this idea to start a project that I called Inner Child. And I wanted to make music using these recordings of whales I was studying, and then to share this with the world, so people can also hear these sounds and learn about these animals. So first I released an album you see here on the left side. It was called Canti come Gaptera, Song of the Humpback Whale. On this album, I worked with some of the best electronic music producers from all over the world. And it was a big hit. It won all sorts of awards and it was played all over the world. And after this first album, there were more and more musicians that wanted to make music with whales. So I decided to release a second album, which I called Canti come Gaptera, to the evolution. So this album was explaining my research about the evolution of whale songs, which means how these songs change. So they change every year, month to month, from year to year, they change. So that's what I wanted to show to people. And my two very good friends made this beautiful art. The first one was made by Fabi, and the other one was made by Gogi. And there were different versions of this artwork, and they were all so beautiful that in the end we even decided to make an exhibition with it. We used art to communicate all this science and all this research from visual art to music, and people really loved the art, but also the story, learning about these animals. And now I just want to play you 2 more videos. We made them as trailers for 2 albums. So they're and also you can hear some of the music from the albums. So here's the trailer for the first album. And here is the trailer of the second album. Right. So I hope you enjoyed this music and these videos. I know it says out soon, but that already happened. So the second album came out this summer, last summer. So with these albums, I wanted to teach people about the whales, and not only about whales, but about oceans and their conservation. There are many different threats to these animals and other animals as well. And I'm hoping that with my music and with my work, I can inspire people to take better care of our planet, and everyone sharing it. So all these amazing, amazing animals and other species that live on this planet with us. So that's it, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation of my work, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Sara, what fun that was. Thank you so much for sharing all that. I'll let you get out of screen share and come back and join us for a presentation. And as you're doing that, I'll put you in the background while you have the chance to come back and join us. I'll just note that if I knew nothing else about the presentation, other than that you would mention The Little Prince and the Golden Record, I'd be thrilled. Like, those are 2 of my favorite things ever. Golden Record I bring up as many times as I possibly can. So thank you so much for that. And yeah, come exit your presentation so you can see us again. We're going to start taking questions from YouTube and from our live groups. Looking very forward to having it. We've got over 20 groups joining us today, live and after the fact from across North America. So it's a really exciting audience today. One of our first questions from a group online, they wanted to know if you've ever worked, like, if other people collected whale songs and sent them to you, would you remix them together? Like, would you work to make that happen? Or does it have to be stuff you've collected? Like, could people send you their links from around the world, or what?
Well, so far I only worked with the recordings I analyzed. So these albums were made using a recording of my supervisor, Luke Randall. So he gave me the permission to use it, and we all made this music with it. But of course, if some people would send me their own recordings, I would be happy to make music with them as well.
Okay, we can hook you up. We got some bioacoustician people all around the world. So you just let me know when we're done the broadcast together. I'm going to head to Ms. Boomer's class live in just a second, but Ms. Mass class on YouTube wanted to know what's the longest whale song you've ever heard, and maybe even beyond that, you personally. And then what's the longest whale song we've ever recorded? Do you know?
So usually these songs last up to 20 minutes, maybe half an hour.
Yeah.
But whales don't stop after they finish their song. Usually they will keep singing in these song sessions, so they would repeat these songs for hours. One time, a scientist recorded a whale singing for more than 24 hours. So, yeah, they can sing for days, not only hours.
That's amazing. We're going to head to Ms. Boomer's class, joining us in Vancouver. Grade 6s, if you guys want to come on up to the camera, you're good to go. Hey.
Okay. How many people bought your albums?
Yeah. How popular are you, Sarah? Are you the next halftime show at the Super Bowl? What do we think?
Well, a lot of people listen to it. So I get all the numbers, and I have this world map where people listen to it.
Oh.
People buy the albums. So I don't know exact number, but lots of people listen to it. That is for sure. Hundreds of thousands, even more.
So where could people listen to it? Like, are people just going to Spotify, or like if someone wanted to end this and go and listen to your music, where would they go?
Right. Okay. So I have my albums up on Bandcamp, so you can search for. Also have it on SoundCloud and on YouTube. So
Great.
I can put. I don't know. Can I put
Yeah,
a link in the
you
chat?
can put them in the private chat, and then I'll link them into all our classes. So that'll be perfect. And I'll make sure that all our groups have this after the fact as well. But if you want to listen to Sarah's stuff, I certainly am excited after the trailer. That was awesome. While you're doing that and pulling that up, I'll bring up another question from class. You've got Miss Gary's class from Woodbury, Minnesota. I haven't had them in so long, so it's so exciting to have them back in a broadcast today, and I'm so happy they picked you. So they want to know, does an entire pod sing the same song, or are there many songs within a pod? Like, are we got different singers together in a chorus, or what?
Right. So that's a cool question. So all whales in the same population, so the same group that lives in one place in the world, they all sing the same song. So we have whales in Australia, they sing all one version of the song. But then we have whales in America, and they sing completely different song. But all whales within this group will sing the same song. Thousands of them will know the same song.
That is so cool.
And sometimes even a population can take over a song from a completely other population. We don't know why it happens. Maybe it's like a hit song. Maybe it's like in our music. There is a popular song in America, and then a few months later, it comes to Europe, and it's a big hit in Europe.
Well, that's exactly it, right? And this is the thing that is fairly unique to humans, whales, and great apes, is that you have this cultural transmission across where like an individual or a group will develop a technique or an idea, and they'll share them with others, or it will just be picked up. And that's so fascinating. Like, it's so much work has been done to find life elsewhere in the universe, and intelligent life elsewhere that we can converse with. And you have these creatures in the ocean that you can speak to and listen to and learn from. I mean, geez, for any of our students that saw Avatar over the holidays, that was the essence of Avatar too, is sort of whale and ape communication, which is fascinating. So very, very cool.
I still haven't watched it, but I really need to see Avatar too.
You do need to see it. You know what? Leave the broadcast and go to an evening movie. I know it's late there, but I did want to bring this up for people. I just put this in the chat on YouTube as well, but innerchildmusic.bandcamp.com. I'm going to get the SoundCloud for everybody as well. So if you want to follow up with that, love to hear your thoughts there as well. We're going to head to back to the Vancouver class. YouTubers, please feel free to keep sharing questions, and I've got a few email ones as well. But Vancouver, Miss Boomer, come on in. Hey.
How many species of whales have gone extinct?
Ooh, have gone extinct. That's a tricky one. Yeah, how many species of whales have gone extinct, if you know? Have we lost any species of whale?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, in the past, definitely. But when there was all this whaling happening, and many whales were killed, and some species went almost extinct. And now today we have some species that are in very low numbers, so they're very endangered. So we really need to make sure that they don't go extinct. So there are a few species that are very critically endangered, and hopefully they will not go extinct. But yeah.
On a positive note, I will say what I really like about this week of whale programs is that we get to highlight sort of one of the essential conservation stories that I love talking to kids about, and that is that whales are this example where we hunted them almost all to extinction. Like there was a very serious chance that we would have had an ocean now with no whales in it. And the international community came together and said, we're not going to hunt them for food anymore, for sport, for anything else. And so there are more whales than there have been in a long period of time. And some whales are actually quite in a good state because we've given them space to live. And this is true of all nature. If you give nature space, if you give animals habitat, they will come back. And that's a really positive, I think, affirmation as we're, conservation can be a challenging topic at times. So I'm really glad we got that question. Your SoundCloud, I know you're looking for even more, but it's here. I put that in the YouTube chat as well. So lots of ways to listen to you and be among those hundreds of thousands. It's very cool.
Right. Oh yeah, cool. And also this one, if you want. There we go.
Perfect. We got all the stuff. I'll share that next between the questions. We're going to inspire them. Sarah, is there a species or a thing that you'd most like to have a recording of and turn into music that you maybe haven't had the chance to yet? That's one of our questions online.
Well, I had this dream to make music with a weddell seal because it makes really cool sounds, and I got this chance just last week. This album got released with my track using a weddell seal. It sounds crazy. It goes and then down. So that was one dream come true. But there are other species that make amazing sounds, and I don't even know where would I start. I mean, marine mammals, I really like whale and dolphin sounds. So maybe I can make a song, not only with one species, but with lots of them, like a symphony using only whale and dolphin sounds. So that's one idea. I made a song with my dog with her sounds. I don't know. I would like to make more music with all the different species.
Amazing. I'm gonna, when we're done this call, I'll put you in touch with somebody. There's something here. Weddell seal, by the way, because we've heard this on some of our broadcasts in the past, is I think the freakiest sound in the ocean. It sounds like aliens are invading the earth, like a UFO sound has come down to abduct somebody. That's what a Weddell seal sounds like. So the people who go up to the Arctic get a special opportunity. Sarah, I'm gonna head back to our Vancouver class live in a sec, but is there a place that you'd like to go visit? Is it the Arctic Ocean? Is it Antarctica and the Southern Ocean? Is it maybe the Caribbean so you can be warm and sit on a beach and listen to whale songs there? What appeals?
Well, I managed to go to all three big oceans, so Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian.
Nice.
But I haven't been to the polar region, so I would love to go to Arctic and Antarctica.
Yeah.
But also nice to be at Caribbean or Hawaii. I haven't been there, so that would be nice, not to be cold.
Classic scientist. I want to go everywhere. I want to study everything, and I want to have a lot of fun. This is for our students today. This is what you get to do if you're a scientist. You get to go to school for a very long time, and that seems a little daunting. But then you end, and you get to make music with whale songs, maybe in Hawaii in the future, and that's pretty cool. And work with people from all over the world. You're selling this very well, Sarah. YouTubers, don't be shy. Please feel free to share more questions. We'd love to hear from you there. But live in Vancouver, if you guys want to come back for another, you're good to go. Hey.
What's the most deadliest whale?
The deadliest whale, Sarah. Is there any that's coming to get you?
The deadliest whale. Well, I mean, I guess orcas or killer whales. That would be my choice because they are the ocean's top predators. They are so fast, and their hunts, they have these amazing techniques. They come into groups and they organize each other. So I guess they would be deadly. But then depending on which species is their prey, sperm whales, for example, and so there. So for giant squids, maybe it is sperm whales that is the deadliest. So different ones.
I'm gonna share a picture in a second. So I like sperm whale is the biggest. Sperm whale is the biggest large animal predator ever. Like they dwarf any dinosaur. They're gigantic. They can be over 60 feet long. But orca hunt great white sharks and they hunt blue whales. So the biggest animal ever to exist on this planet is hunted by orcas. And it's my favorite skull in all of nature is an orca skull because it looks like something out of myth and legend. So this is an orca skull, and that's like the most terrifying thing ever. Like, is there anything? There's no dinosaur skull that is as scary as that thing. Now, I guess we're quite fortunate that orca don't hunt people, because they mean business. They're a unique creature. I have a question for you, Sarah. Is there like whale songs are classically incredibly loud. I know that we have recorded blue whale songs across entire ocean basins, that's unfathomable. Like it's ridiculous. Is there a comparison in how loud they are compared to other things? Is it like a jet engine, a rock concert, a rocket going off? Like how many decibels, if you know?
Oof, my memory is pretty bad in remembering facts, but I can tell you these animals are very loud. But also depends which species. I think sperm whale is the loudest. So they emit these loud clicks, and they have this huge head. And within their head, it's an organ made out of fat. And they use this organ as a resonator. So they would make a sound and they would amplify it through this resonator. And that's when it comes out, it's really loud and it goes really far. It's one of the loudest sounds we can hear made from animals. Blue whales are also very loud, but they are making sounds in a frequency range that we can't hear. So it's in human ears, we can hear from maybe 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. But these animals, they can produce sounds in infrasound and ultrasound. So frequencies that we can't even hear. So they are very loud, but we can hear them.
Yeah. So this is a couple things. On the resonator thing, a lot of our students might be familiar with belugas have something like this too, but on a smaller scale. And this is featured in Finding Nemo 2, is the beluga sort of going around pointing its head at things. For whales, you mentioned infra and ultrasound. So ultrasound for our students is like a bat call. It's so high pitched that we can't hear it, but you can pick it up with special detectors. Whereas big things, booming things like elephants and whales have this thing that's too deep. We actually sort of feel it in our bones. If you're at a concert and your body is sort of shaking, that can be infrasound. So do whales do both? Do the same whale species do both? That's so interesting.
No, different species make different sounds. So some species would use ultrasonic range, some would use infrasonic. So the biggest whales, like blue whales, would produce really low sound, like the ones we can't hear, they're too low. But dolphins and porpoises, they produce this high pitched, and they're too high for us to hear. So different species use different frequencies.
I was looking it up because these are tricky questions. So at least 180 decibels, and it's about as loud as a jet plane taking off when you're like close to it on the ground, which is unbelievable.
There you go.
Miss Mass class has a great question. What is the oldest whale song recording? When did we start recording whales? Do we know?
So people were recording sounds from the ocean, but they didn't know they come from whales. So in the late 60s, scientists actually discovered these are the songs of whales. And the first paper that came out was from the 1970. And that was the first paper that described these songs and said these are the songs of whales. Whales produce these songs. So maybe from the 50 years? So it's a pretty young field of study, this underwater bioacoustics. Because of the technology, it's much harder to study anything in the water than on land. So yeah, maybe some 50 years we've been studying these sounds, not earlier than that.
And I always like this because there were really two big things that in part led to the environmental movement, largely in the United States to begin in the late 60s. One was going around the moon, 1968. We went around the moon for the first time and got this picture of the Earth from afar. And the second was whale songs. People would get this. We found this out and we played it at rallies. Like there were groups of thousands of people and they would play whale songs. And it made people think, wow, like how beautiful and incredible to have this ability to communicate, vocalize, because we never really conceived of other animals as having that ability before. And it changed how people thought about things. So all these laws, Clean Water Act, Clean Air Act, Environmental, Endangered Species Act, these all came about pretty much directly after we started playing whale songs for people. So it's really special to meet someone who's doing such great work to bring that to people in a new way, in a unique way. So kudos to you. And I'm really glad we got that question.
Oh,
all right.
Thank you very much.
I've got a tricky question for you, okay? Rayon's class, Rayon in Miss Ahmed's class wanted to know which ocean has the most whales. No pressure.
I told you my memory is pretty bad with remembering facts, but
Pacific? Is it the biggest? Maybe.
Depends which species of whales.
Yes.
So, for example, humpback whales, there are lots of them. In Australia, in the Pacific, there are a lot of them, and some other whales in other oceans. But then again, depends on the species. For example, the right whales, the northern right whales, they are very endangered, and there are very few in this ocean or anywhere else in the world. So it is a tricky question because depends on the species of the whales, I guess.
Yeah. I like these superlative ones. And by the way, you mentioned North Atlantic right whale. If anyone wants to check it out, earlier today we had Gina Lenati on talking about using drones to study right whales. So a nice compliment to today's presentation. I'm going to go live to our class with us on StreamYard one more time, and then we're going to wrap up from there because time flies and you're having fun. Miss Boomer's group, come on in. Hey, guys.
Oh, there you go. Take your mask off. Mask off.
How many whales are there in the entire world?
How many whales total? Sarah, no pressure.
Oof, again, the number question.
Hundreds of thousands, I would say.
There are hundreds of thousands. Some species, there are just a few hundreds or even less. So depends. In total, there are hundreds of thousands.
Yes.
But you can look it up. I'm sure you will find better information than my brain can remember.
I know there's a few whale species that are in the hundreds that are left, and some of them we get up to, as you said, hundreds of thousands, which is amazing. So whale populations generally in the world are increasing, which is great. We still have a lot of work to do. And of course, whales are really hard to study too. We really haven't explored that much of the oceans. Acoustics is actually one of the best ways we can find whales because you can hear them a lot more easily than you can see them. You have to be in the right place at the right time with your boat to actually get them. But I hope all our students, in addition to checking out Sarah's music on all of these fantastic places, go, if you get the chance in your life to go on a whale watching tour, see whales in the wild. It really changes you. It's a special, special experience. And it's so nice to have the chance today to talk about this in a different way and highlight a new way of looking at it. So Sarah, before we wrap up, is there any last message you'd like to share with the kids about your work or anything they can do to keep the learning going now that we're done?
Well, I really hope that this that my work can inspire you guys to also pursue your dreams and to think of new ways how you can help environment, how you can help our planet, and share this with your friends, your families. There are even small things you can do every day that can help. So yeah, maybe that's my message to you.
There's no better message than that. I love it. Thank you so much, Sarah. What we do to wrap up every broadcast, I'm going to bring back in Miss Boomer's class on YouTube, Miss Gary, Miss Mast, Mr. Ahmed's class. If you guys want to join me in screaming and saying a big thank you and farewell, have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye for now, guys.